The Alpha-class Advanced Recon Commandos were 100 clones created from the Jangotat DNA like all other clone troopers on Kamino. Unlike the other clones, however, they were created with unaltered Jangotat DNA and therefore had most of Jango's personality and independence, similar to the Null-class ARC troopers, which were created before the Alphas. Though the Alpha-class ARC troopers were prone to strong independence, unlike the Nulls, they would follow orders. When the Kaminoans had grown and trained the Alpha Arcs under Jango Fett's personal tutelage, they were unaware that Fett had been able to install his own personal orders in all of the Alpha Arcs, such as to destroy all of the younger clones should Kamino ever fall into the hands of the Confederacy of Independent Systems. Alpha 17 would nearly carry out this order during the First Battle of Kamino. However, the Republic managed to win the battle and hold the planet, so therefore the Separatists never took over and the clones were saved. Although the Alpha-class ARCs had a strong sense of independence, they were fiercely loyal to the Republic and the Grand Army. Despite being trained by Jango Fett for the toughest missions they could ever encounter and their loyalty to the Republic, the Kaminoans feared their independence and, like the jerks that they were, the Kaminoans kept the Alpha-class ARC troopers in stasis chambers until the Battle of Kamino when the Republic needed to be saved. From that point on, the Alphas were put into service into the GAR. There was also a tense rivalry between the Null-class and Alpha-class ARCs during the Clone Wars. Though the Alphas inherited Jango's solitary nature, they did carry a sense of pride in the fact that they were part of the greatest military force in the galaxy. Furthermore, they respected the fighting and leadership skills exhibited by virtually all of the Jedi, despite disagreeing with them constantly. Meanwhile, the Nulls' blatant disregard for the Jedi and Republic authority was seen by the Alpha-class ARCs as an insult to the entire clone army and to Jango Fett's legacy. Alpha 2, aka Spar, was even more independent thinking than other Alpha-class ARC troopers and underwent a heavy reconditioning process by the Kaminoans, which just didn't really work out too well for him, as he felt no loyalty whatsoever towards the Republic. When they went to recondition him again, Spar decided to desert from the GAR, being the only one out of 100 Alpha-class ARC troopers to desert. Spar then became a Mandalorian mercenary and even would hold the title of Mandalore for a while. The Kaminoan failure came full circle when Spar would accept contracts from the Separatists against the Jedi on covert missions during the Clone Wars, but his Mandalorian protectors would be betrayed by Sidious in the end. Spar would survive the Clone Wars and refused to return to the Protectors. He reconnected with some old clones and would eventually succumb to clone madness before being shot by Boba Fett's daughter. Alpha 17 is perhaps the most famous Alpha-class ARC trooper, and aside from almost blowing up Kamino in the case that a Separatist had won the battle, he came under the command of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker during the early months of the Clone Wars, and he frequently trashed Padawans in discussions. He also participated in the Battle of Oma Dun, where the Separatists under the command of bounty hunter Dirge used swamp gas to poison the moon. Alpha 17 also fought in the Battle of Jabim, where he and Obi-Wan were captured and tortured by the Separatists. However, the pair were able to break out and escape. Afterwards, Alpha 17 trained many clone commanders to be assigned to their Jedi generals. His last battle was at the Battle of Boz Pity, where the Alpha-class ARC trooper was stabbed by Grievous, and although he survived, his fate after the war is unknown as he was kidnapped. Alpha 26, aka Maze, was stationed on Coruscant for most of the war and mostly aided Jedi General Zay against Separatist terrorists. Despite the Alpha and Null rivalry, Maze and Null 11 Captain Ordo came to a mutual understanding and respect after they both beat each other up. As the war progressed, Maze used his downtime to read and develop strong opinions about the state of the Republic. While not a fan of the political leadership under Palpatine, he thought that the Jedi should not interfere in Republic politics as they were not elected. Alpha 58, also known as Trantos, held the rank of commander. During the Clone Wars, he traveled to the planet Pizadiaz with a Jedi Padawan, where they investigated a training facility that Count Dooku, the leader of the CIS, had established on the world. Little is known about what happened to him afterwards. However, he did prefer to wear basic Phase 1 clone armor over having a command pauldron and a comma. His information comes from a choose-your-own-adventure book, so therefore his story after the arrival on the planet is really not well established. Alpha 66 was another ARC trooper who fought throughout the Clone Wars and became known as Muzzle in the final months of the war, but would become even more famous for his post-war mercenary activities, so hold that thought for later on in this video. Alpha 17, better known as Captain Fordo from the 2003 Clone Wars series, was in charge of the Munilist 10 during the Battle of Munilist to set explosive charges on Separatist defenses. He also would electrocute Dirge after the bounty hunter swallowed Kenobi whole. Fordo would also lead the Munilus 10 on a rescue mission to the planet Hypori to save Jedi who were being absolutely demolished by Grievous, and Fordo would hold his own. After this success, Fordo would later fight in the Battle of Coruscant, where he single-handedly held back a column of B-2 droids. Last and certainly not least of the well-known Alpha-class ARC troopers is Alpha 98, aka Jangotat. He fought in the first Battle of Geonosis, after which he was promoted to the rank of captain for saving 5 members of his squad from a Hailfire droid. Later, at the Battle of Altair 9, his hip was nearly torn off, causing him to require extensive medical treatment from a Republic medical facility. Following his recovery, he was posted to the training world of Vandor 3 to take part in a grueling exercise aimed at honing his skills as well as that of other clone troopers, where he was then offered a spot on a covert mission. He would lead clone commandos to the planet Ord Cestus, where their mission was to disable a droid factory that was producing JK-13 security droids, better known as Jedi Killers. During the mission, he would end up ordering all of his men out and call down an orbital bombardment on his own position to destroy the facility. His sacrifice would save millions of innocent civilians and embody the true spirit of what it meant to be an ARC trooper. The destruction of the facility would also save many Jedi lives, as these were literally Jedi killer droids. Although the Alpha-class ARCs were created with unaltered independent minds just like their Null-class predecessors, these second-generation ARCs were more obedient and reliable to the Jedi because Jango had instructed the Alpha-class ARCs to follow their orders. However, this did not stop the ARCs from voicing their disagreements or even their opinions of a Jedi's order. Once Palpatine initiated Order 66, many Alpha-class ARC troopers decided not to follow the order. Some decided to obey the Chancellor's order, but many of the other ARCs chose to disobey it due to their unaltered independent minds and chose experiences with the Jedi during the Clone Wars over a random order that they received. By the end of the war, the Alphas had viewed the Jedi as skilled warriors for the GAR and had strong loyalty to most of their Jedi generals. This was the case with Maze, who refused to execute Zay, and their pair survived the war and eventually made their way to Mandalore. However, those that did execute the order did so out of loyalty to the Republic, as they believed that the Jedi had betrayed the Republic as the order suggested. Post-war, some Alpha-class ARC troopers retired to Coruscant or to Kamino to become teachers for the Empire's new Stormtrooper Corps. Others followed in Jango Fett's footsteps to become bounty hunters. Still, some joined the Alliance to restore the Republic, though. Muzzle, for example, founded the aurodium sword mercenary group, offering protection to captains of industry and heads of state. The aurodium sword was staffed by mainly humans, Ubis, and fierce Wookiee warriors. Muzzle's organization was known to take jobs for clients in both criminal and Imperial groups such as the Cinar family, and the ISB kept tabs on the group, feeling Muzzle's loyalty to the Empire has been undecided at the time. Yet they were concerned about his treatment of Wookiees as equals because, this is the ISB we're talking about. Did you know about the Alpha-class ARC troopers before this video? Would you like for me to make more videos about each individual ARC trooper? Write in the comments, and thank you for watching.